Makes it at a young age because we're supposed to have milk from our mother, from the mother of my species. So my body makes lactase that brings down the sugar lactose. Few adults can metabolize the protein in cow's milk, which is casein, that's a building protein. Lactose protein can leak through the gut. So when we have the issues, our body can't absorb or do anything with that dairy, so then it leaks through the gut and it creates all kinds of different problems. Number one, or one of them, another one is mucus production. Milk and dairy generate excessive mucus in the intestines. It lines the inside of our guts, and then it affects absorption, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. Our body tries to get rid of it through our other excretory systems, which is respiration, so through our sinuses. So a chronic postnasal drip and a congestion all the time can simply be an allergy to dairy. Some studies that I read says anywhere from 60 to 70% of adults, all adults, are allergic to dairy. Milk and dairy is a major factor in chronic nasal dripping, excessive phlegm in the throat. Cancer. All mature breast milk from humans, cows, and other animals is a medium for transporting hundreds of chemical components, including the hormone insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1. It's strongly implicated in prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, premenopausal breast cancer, and lung cancer. That's not just China studies study, that's everybody's study when they study IGF-1. But don't my kids need milk for proper growth and strong bones? That's the question. That's what the milk industry put white mustaches on all the celebrities for, to convince you of that. They'd like you to believe that this is true. Dairy Management Incorporated, the milk industry, listed the following goals on their what they want to get done. To market to young children and their mothers, to use schools as a channel to young customers, and to conduct and publicize research favorable to the industry. You can make research say anything. You can pay for research. You can convince people that it's good for you. In 2002, the milk industry delivered over 70,000 lesson plans to educators. Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine in Washington found drinking milk did not boost calcium. In fact, physical exercise of youth was found to be the primary stimulus for increased bone growth. Use it or lose it. A good nutrition, alkaline-rich diet, and get off your butt and start moving and exercise and swing and bike and jump and climb and cut and run. Not Mario Brothers. At least the Wii gets them moving a little bit, I guess. Campbell's quoted as saying, "The dairy industry is truly teaching its version of nutrition to the next generation of Americans." Why do they have lobbyists in Washington, D.C.? It's a big money business. How yummy does it sound if I offered you a glass of ice-cold dog milk? Ice-cold human breast milk. It's the same thing. That milk and that dairy is designed for the infant of that species to have until they're weaned from their mother. From there, no more dairy. Something to think about. The level of dairy product consumption in the United States is among the highest in the world, accounting for 72% of all dietary calcium intake, and osteoporosis and fractures rates are simultaneously as high. We have the highest rate of fractures. We have the highest rate, or the highest ratio of consumption of dairy. I thought it was supposed to prevent osteoporosis. The poison of acid addictions. Think about over-ossification like this. A refrigerator must stay cold in order for the food to stay free of bacteria, fungus, and mold, right? If the terrain of the refrigerator is compressed and the refrigerator begins to warm up, the food inside will begin to grow bacteria, evolves into yeast and mold. The food begins to deteriorate. This is what happens when our body's in an acidic mode. Yeast, fungus, and molds live there. They're freeloaders. They feed on our body's glucose, our sugar. The same thing happens in your body when you eat over-acid-producing foods. They cause your cravings, the freeloaders. As you make your body alkaline, and that's going to rid of its yeast and fungus and molds, your body won't have the cravings. When they get done eating all your sugar, all your glucose and your energy, then they eat your proteins, and that makes you flabby. That's what they feed on. It's just environment. It's the environment within the body. Like an environment in the fish tank and the environment within the fridge. It's the same thing. Caffeine. Toxoid alkaloid of caffeine is active ingredients in coffee, tea, cocoa, and soft drinks. Coffee is the world's second most valuable commodity behind petroleum in terms of dollars traded. 400 billion cups per year worldwide.
So you're saying we can have one little cup in the morning?
No. Well, every day? Correct, no. So when we talk about what the basis of our nutrition should be and what I'm trying to teach, I think is more going to be like an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I think you should be right on. 20% of the time, let's let loose a little bit and do whatever we want to do. So if it's easier, like it's easier for me during my work week because everything's pretty much structured and I know what time I go to work and what time I get off, and it's easy for me to stay on a structure. I know what time I eat breakfast and leave the house. I got at 10 o'clock your mid-morning snack, you do your lunch, at 4 o'clock your mid-afternoon snack, at 6:30 or 7 we do our dinner, and then right before bed then we can do another snack of the food that we're talking about. And let's be rock star and full throttle and play full out, like maybe Sunday afternoon through Friday at 12:30, but then Friday through Sunday, let's go do whatever we want to do. So if you want to go and enjoy your cup of coffee and that's social for you and that's awesome, you really like that, go like that. Go do it. Doesn't that make sense? But if I'm in a state of that I really need to crank things up, if I was in a state of disease, I would go 100% deer and go hard on and full out. Let's see what my body can do. Give it every fight and chance I can by putting the right nutrition in, hydration, the food, the water. I'm going to win. Killing ourselves with caffeine. What caffeine does when we get it every morning is it stimulates our adrenal glands to produce adrenaline and cortisol. This elevates your heart rate, increases respiration, blood pressure, eventually adrenal glands become exhausted. Now we got all kinds of problems when we got adrenal fatigue. So what happens is when we have adrenal fatigue, or when our adrenal glands are constantly being shot, and we're not burning up that cortisol, because remember we're supposed to exercise to burn up the cortisol. So it all works off the physiology of the way we are made and what our body was designed to do when it got in a stress situation. The stress situation usually meant I had to fight or flee my predator. It said I either had to hunt or gather when my body was in a stress mode. I need to build or find shelter. That's what the cortisol was released for in the adrenaline, so it gave me juice so I could go get this done. But then what you had to do with that juice is go get the thing done. So in a stress situation, when your body's hitting your adrenal glands and it's producing cortisol, if you are not exercising, you're leaving that cortisol in your body, and that cortisol, and that breaks down other endocrinological processes. So what's down the road from that? If my adrenal glands are getting hit, well, then my sugar had to change, because as I was running away from the saber-toothed tiger, I had to have the energy so it hits my pancreas and my insulin, and it releases the sugar, so then I have the energy to run away. It shuts down my thyroid because my body's not thinking about metabolizing food. It wants the sugar, but it shuts my thyroid down. It shuts down sex hormones because your body's not thinking about sex when you're running away from the saber-toothed tiger. So many times when people have thyroid problems, it's secondary to adrenal stress, and they're not doing the right thing with their stress. They're stressed at work, but they still sit in their chair all day long. Our gift to ourselves is to exercise daily, and sometimes pretend like you're running away from the saber-toothed tiger. You know what I'm saying? It's just how the body works, chemically. Caffeine does the same thing synthetically, by stimulating ACTH out of your brain that then stimulates your adrenal glands. So if you're drinking the coffee, you understand that it can increase your respiration, blood pressure, make you sweat, and everything else. You understand that, right? That's why it's doing it. So if you drink the coffee every day, that's what's happening. You're putting yourself into adrenal fatigue, and then you're going to run into all kinds of other endocrine problems. It can increase arrhythmias and palpitations of the heart, upset the stomach, ulcers, diarrhea, reduced absorption. Possible links with caffeine to bladder cancer in men, breast cancer in women, restlessness, anxiety, irritability, chronic fatigue, headaches, I can't sleep. Well, no kidding.